Imagine a world where sleep isn't just a rest. It's a journey, a place where dreams come alive and reality slips away. Now, picture a little girl named Suzie, but not just any girl. Her friends call her Snoozy Suzy, and that's exactly who she is. A master of the nap, the champion of drifting off wherever, whenever. From the moment she was born, she possessed a gift that made everyone around her wonder, how does she do it? But Suzie's story isn't just about sleeping, it's about a mystery that only the most curious minds would dare uncover. In a world where every nap feels like an adventure, she discovers something truly magical. A secret that could change everything. One day, Suzie has a dream so vivid, so real, that she feels like she's crossed into another world. And in this world, she meets someone extraordinary, a talking koala. But this isn't just any koala. He knows secrets, deep secrets, about how to create the perfect nap, one that would bring peace to her and her friends forever. But there's a twist. The more Suzie delves into this dream, the more she realizes it's not just about napping. It's about belief, magic, and hope. The kind of hope that can transform the impossible into something tangible. But can Suzie truly make this dream a reality? The clock is ticking. The world around her is about to change. And Suzie will need to fight her inner doubts, confront her deepest fears, and find the courage to make her dream come true. Will she succeed? Or will the magic slip through her fingers, leaving her only with questions and wonder? This is a journey, unlike any other. A story where sleep becomes the gateway to the impossible. Welcome to Snoozy Suzy's world, where dreams are just the beginning. As Suzie grew older, her love for naps didn't fade. It only grew stronger. She wasn't just a little girl who loved sleep. She was a true believer in its power. For Suzie, naps weren't just about resting. They were a sacred escape, a moment to recharge her imagination and dream bigger than the world allowed. At first, it was just a quirky habit, something her parents had noticed when she was still very young. But as the years passed, her friends began to notice too. Polly, Poppy, and Pete, the trio who had been her companions since the days of playdates, all marveled at Suzie's ability to fall asleep so easily, anywhere, anytime. It wasn't just her unique gift that fascinated them, but the sheer joy she seemed to get from it. And soon, it wasn't enough for Suzie to nap alone. She wanted to share this experience, to bring her friends into her magical world of sleep. She began inviting Polly, Poppy, and Pete over to her house every weekend, not just for games or snacks, but for naps. "Come over to my house this Saturday," she'd say with a grin. "We'll play, nap, and then play again." The idea of napping together quickly caught on. What started as simple afternoon naps on the sofa or under a tree in Suzie's backyard soon turned into something more structured, more special. Suzie was determined to create the perfect environment for her friends, a place where they could all enjoy their naps in peace, away from the distractions of the world. At first, her forts were simple, just pillows and blankets scattered across the floor in the cozy corner of her room. But Suzie wasn't satisfied with simple. She had a vision. Soon, her forts became more elaborate, more personalized. She began to gather all sorts of things from around the house. Kitchen chairs were pulled together to form little fortresses, draped with bed sheets and blankets to create soft, magical canopies that made the room feel like a secret hideaway. But that was just the beginning. The more Suzie thought about it, the more she realized these forts could be more than just places to nap. They could be something magical. She began to experiment, creating different nap zones for each of her friends. For Polly, she made sure to keep the space perfectly quiet, filling it with soft cushions to create a peaceful, soundproof oasis. Poppy, on the other hand, loved a little noise, so Suzie added a soft hum of music in the background, turning her fort into a serene but vibrant space. And for Pete, who always seemed to be afraid of the dark, Suzie made sure to add a soft nightlight that cast a gentle glow across the room, making him feel safe and cozy. But it didn't stop there. Each fort became a reflection of what Suzie's friends needed, what made them feel most at peace. She had a knack for creating spaces that felt like little worlds of their own, worlds where her friends could escape, relax, and lose themselves in the comfort of a perfect nap. Yet even as the forts grew more intricate, there was a glimmer of something more, something Suzie herself didn't fully understand yet. Each time she stepped into the forts she created, there was an overwhelming sense that these spaces held more than just pillows and blankets. There was a feeling, deep in her gut, that these forts were special, that they were more than just a place to sleep. Maybe, just maybe, they were the beginning of something far greater. But what exactly that might be, Suzie couldn't say. Still, the curiosity grew, and so did her excitement. Suzie knew one thing for sure. Naps had never felt so magical. And if she could make her forts this perfect, what else could she create? What would happen if she took this to the next level? As Suzie continued her mission to create the perfect nap spaces for herself and her friends, a new challenge began to emerge. Each of her friends, Polly, Poppy, and Pete, had their own unique needs when it came to sleep. And Suzie soon realized that she couldn't simply create one fort to satisfy them all. The more she thought about it, the more she wondered, was it even possible to create the perfect nap space for everyone? Polly, her thoughtful and introspective friend, needed complete silence. She found peace in stillness, and without utter quiet, she couldn't fall asleep. Suzie remembered how Polly would shut her eyes tightly when the slightest sound echoed around them. The tapping of a pen or the rustle of a paper, anything really, would keep her awake. Suzie chuckled to herself, knowing that her usual chatter and the soft hum of the house would never be enough to help Polly rest. She needed absolute silence, a sanctuary of stillness where nothing could disturb her calm. Then there was Poppy, the opposite of Polly. Poppy was never content with pure silence. She craved the gentle hum of background noise. It could be anything. A soft melody, the rustling of leaves in the wind, the faint buzz of a radio. As long as there was something to fill the space, Poppy could drift off without a problem. Suzie knew she would have to create a nap space for Poppy that was rich with subtle sounds, something peaceful but never too quiet. And Pete, poor Pete. While Polly and Poppy had their own preferences, Pete had a fear that was harder to address. Pete was terrified of the dark. A nightlight was a must for him, as the soft, glowing light was the only thing that made him feel safe enough to fall asleep. Suzie could never forget the night Pete had mentioned that the shadows in the dark always seemed to have eyes, and they made him feel uneasy. Pete's fear was something deeper than just needing a light. It was a need for reassurance, for comfort in the stillness of night. Lastly, there was Suzie herself. As much as she loved creating the perfect space for her friends, she also had her own preferences. She didn't need silence or constant noise. She needed comfort. Soft cushions, a cozy blanket, and just the right temperature were what Suzie needed to feel at ease. She loved naps that made her feel safe, secure, and completely relaxed. As Suzie thought about it, her heart began to sink. How could she possibly create a nap space that would satisfy everyone's needs? The challenge felt impossible. How could she balance all the elements? Silence for Polly, noise for Poppy, light for Pete, and comfort for herself. She stared at the growing pile of blankets, pillows, and sheets, and wondered if she was trying to accomplish something that couldn't be done. The more she tried to piece everything together, the more questions she had. Was it even possible to create a perfect fort, one that could accommodate everyone's needs? Would the dream of creating the ultimate bedtime fort, the one that would bring comfort, peace, and a perfect nap for everyone slip through her fingers? Or could she somehow figure out a way to make it work? As the sun set that evening, Suzie stood in the middle of her room, staring at the empty space. The question lingered in the air like a soft breeze, as if the answer was just out of reach. How would she solve this? And would it really be possible to make the perfect nap space for everyone? The only thing Suzie knew for sure was that she had to try. That night, as Suzie drifted off to sleep, her mind wandered far from her cozy room and into a world unlike any she had ever known. It started slowly, with the soft rustling of leaves and a gentle breeze that whispered through the air. She was no longer lying in her bed, but instead, she found herself standing in the middle of a vast, magical forest. The trees towered over her, their trunks wide and ancient, their leaves shimmering with the glow of twilight. The light was soft and lilac, casting an ethereal hue over everything around her, as if the very air itself was filled with secrets. As Suzie took her first steps, the ground beneath her was soft and cool, like walking on a thick carpet of moss. The forest smelled fresh and sweet, with the scent of pine needles mingling with the delicate perfume of wildflowers. The air was cool against her skin, but it was also comforting, like a blanket wrapping around her body, inviting her deeper into the woods. Every step she took seemed to echo in the silence. Yet it wasn't an eerie silence. It was a peaceful kind, the kind that made her feel safe, as if the forest was a place where time stood still. She wandered, entranced by the soft, lilting music drifting on the breeze. It was faint at first, like the sound of distant bells, but as Suzie ventured further, the melody grew clearer. She followed the sound, and it led her to a clearing, bathed in the warm glow of the twilight sky. In the middle of the clearing, sitting on a weathered tree stump, was a figure that made Suzie's heart race with excitement. A koala. But this wasn't just any koala. He was unlike anything Suzie had ever seen before. His fur was a soft, silvery gray that seemed to shimmer in the light, and his large round eyes were full of warmth and curiosity. In his paws, he held a tiny ukulele, strumming it with a gentle rhythm that seemed to create the very magic of the forest around her. "Hello," the koala said, his voice calm and friendly, yet carrying a hint of mystery. "I'm Coco." Suzie blinked, unable to believe her ears. You can talk?" Coco chuckled softly, the sound as melodic as the ukulele's music. "Of course I can. You're in a dream, Suzie. Anything is possible here." He strummed a few more notes on his ukulele, the sound filling the clearing like a lullaby. Suzie took a hesitant step forward, feeling both amazed and curious. "I don't understand," she said, her voice quiet. "How am I here? And why are you here?" Coco smiled, his eyes twinkling with a knowing light. "I'm here to help you, Suzie. I know what you need, a place where you and your friends can sleep peacefully, without the chaos of the world around you. I can show you how to create the best bedtime fort ever, the one that will work for everyone, no matter their needs." Suzie felt a thrill of excitement stir within her. "But how? How can you help me do that?" Coco's smile widened, and he began to play a soft, dreamy tune on the ukulele. "You see, Suzie, making the perfect fort isn't just about blankets and pillows. It's about understanding what each person truly needs, and then creating a space where those needs are met, all while weaving in a little bit of magic. It takes patience, creativity, and a belief in the impossible." Suzie's heart raced. She had been struggling with this very dilemma for days. Could this dream koala really help her solve the problem? And what kind of magic did he mean? The more Suzie listened, the more she felt like there was a secret, just beyond her reach, waiting to be uncovered. "You'll learn," Coco said, his voice almost a whisper now. "But first, you must trust me and trust the magic of your own imagination. As Coco's music filled the air, Suzie felt herself falling deeper into the dream. She wasn't just in a forest anymore. She was on the edge of something extraordinary, something she had only ever dreamed of. The possibilities stretched out before her like an endless path. Could she really create the perfect fort? With Coco's help, maybe anything was possible, and, just like that, the dream began to unfold before her. A world where anything could happen. A world where Suzie's wildest ideas could come to life. Suzie listened closely as Coco, the wise and mysterious koala, strummed his ukulele, the soft notes drifting around her like a gentle breeze. There was something magical about the way he spoke, as if every word carried weight, every phrase was part of something larger. He looked at her with his gentle, knowing eyes, and Suzie found herself hanging on every word. To create the perfect bedtime fort, Suzie, Coco began, his voice smooth and reassuring. You need 3 things: engineering, magic, and hope. Suzie blinked, unsure. Engineering? Magic? Hope? She had never thought of creating a nap space as needing anything more than a few pillows and a blanket. Yet, here she was in a dream, talking to a koala who seemed to know the answer to everything. Could it really be as simple as that? Engineering, she thought. What could that possibly mean? And magic? Was that even real? But Coco's eyes twinkled with such certainty that Suzie couldn't help but feel a spark of hope ignite within her. Maybe this was the key. Maybe the solution to her problem lay somewhere in these strange instructions, somewhere in the very essence of this dream. Engineering, Coco continued, his paws moving gracefully over the strings of his ukulele, is about understanding how things come together. It's about structure, balance, and making sure everything fits perfectly. Think of it like building the foundation of your fort. Every piece must have its place. Suzie nodded slowly, absorbing every word. This part seemed logical, something she could grasp. She had always liked putting things together, figuring out how things worked. But then Coco spoke of the next 2 elements, and the uncertainty returned. Magic, Coco said softly, almost like a secret. It's what makes the impossible possible. Magic isn't about tricks or illusions. It's about believing in something that goes beyond what you can see, beyond what you can touch. It's the spark that brings your fort to life. Suzie's heart fluttered at the thought. Magic. Was it real? Could a nap space really come to life with magic? She wanted to believe, but how? She looked at Coco, hoping for more answers. And finally, Coco whispered, hope. Hope is the most important ingredient of all. It's the force that drives everything. It's what keeps us going when things seem impossible, when we can't see the way forward. Without hope, nothing can truly be created. You must believe in yourself, Suzie, and in the magic of your dreams. The words echoed in Suzie's mind like a chant. Engineering, magic, hope. Could these really be the secret ingredients? Was she ready to try? A part of her hesitated, unsure of how to even begin. But another part, an adventurous part, knew she had to give it a shot. If she didn't, she would never know what might be possible. Coco stood up from the tree stump, his ukulele still in hand. Now, Suzie, I need you to gather some very special items. You'll find them in places you might not expect. But when you have them all, your fort will be unlike anything you've ever seen. Trust the process, and trust the magic. Suzie felt a rush of excitement and anticipation. What could these items be? Coco had spoken with such confidence, and there was a sense of urgency in his voice. Suzie's mind raced as she tried to imagine what she would need. She could already feel the energy in the air, the sense that something incredible was about to happen. Go now, Coco encouraged, strumming a final note on his ukulele. The first piece of the puzzle awaits you. And with that, Suzie took a deep breath and stepped forward into the dream world, ready to gather the strange, magical items that would bring her fort to life. What they were, she didn't yet know, but she was filled with a sense of wonder and curiosity. Could she really do it? Could she truly create the perfect bedtime fort? Only time would tell. But one thing was certain. Suzie was ready to find out. Suzie woke from her dream with the soft glow of morning light filtering through her bedroom window. Her heart raced with excitement as she remembered Coco's words, still ringing in her ears. Morning dew, ripe blackberries, orange leaves, radio. The list of magical items Coco had told her to gather seemed so strange, yet something about it felt right. There was no time to waste. She had to get started. With a determined smile, Suzie threw off the covers and rushed to her window. The world outside was waking up, bathed in the soft light of dawn. She could already feel the magic in the air, a quiet hum of possibility that seemed to whisper her name. She could do this. She had to do this. First stop, the morning dew. Suzie grabbed her little red boots and dashed outside, the cool grass brushing against her ankles as she hurried into the garden. The air was fresh and crisp, the kind of morning where every breath felt like a promise of something new. She walked barefoot across the grass, the cool dampness of the dew sinking into her skin. She smiled as she bent down, cupping her hands to catch the glistening droplets, each one a tiny pearl of magic. There was something enchanting about the dew, the way it clung to the blades of grass like secrets waiting to be discovered. She could feel it in her fingertips, the coolness and freshness, as though it was an ancient gift passed down through generations. As Suzie stood there, the soft glow of the morning sun made the dew sparkle, and for a moment, she almost felt like she was in a dream again, surrounded by the quiet magic of the morning. Next, she needed the ripe blackberries. Suzie remembered the vines growing near the road, thick with berries that had ripened under the sun. She knew exactly where to go. She walked down the path, past the blooming flowers, and came upon the vines, heavy with dark purple fruit. As she reached out to pick them, the warm sun kissed her cheeks, and the scent of the berries filled the air, sweet and earthy, like summer itself. Each blackberry seemed to hold a little piece of the magic she needed, the deep purple color like a treasure she could hold in her hand. She gently plucked them one by one, placing them in a small basket. The world around her seemed alive with color and sound. Birds chirped from the trees, their melodies adding to the magic of the moment. The air smelled of ripe fruit, of earth, and of something more, something that felt like possibility. As Suzie placed the last berry into her basket, she couldn't help but feel that everything was falling into place, like the pieces of a puzzle she had yet to see fully. Then came the orange leaves. Suzie knew exactly where to find them. There was a large oak tree in the park, its leaves already beginning to turn the colors of autumn. She loved the fall, the way the world changed into something warm and inviting. She skipped toward the park, the leaves crunching beneath her boots with each step. The ground was scattered with leaves in every shade of gold, red, and orange, but it was the perfect orange leaves she needed. She scanned the ground carefully, her eyes lighting up when she found the perfect ones. The leaves were rich in color, like little pieces of fire, and they felt delicate in her hands as she gathered them, whispering a quiet incantation as Coco had instructed her to do. The leaves crumbled into a fine dust as she whispered the words, the magic shimmering in the air around her. It was as if the leaves themselves were alive, their colors brighter, the magic stronger. With her basket of berries and leaves and the dew safely gathered, Suzie's final task was to find a radio. She ran back home, her excitement growing with every step. Her parents' old radio sat in the study, tucked away on a dusty shelf. It was a little outdated, but it had always had a certain charm, and Suzie knew it would work perfectly. She picked it up, feeling the weight of it in her hands, the cool metal and worn edges a reminder of the past. As she carried the radio back to her room, Suzie could feel the pieces of her magical fort coming together. She moved with purpose, as though the magic was guiding her steps. Everything felt special, from the cool dew in her hands, to the warmth of the sun on her face, to the rustling of the leaves in the wind. Each item was a thread in the tapestry she was about to weave, a key part of something much bigger than she had ever imagined. Her heart fluttered with anticipation. Was this it? Was this what would bring her dream to life? The excitement in her chest was almost too much to contain. She could feel it, deep inside. The magic was real. It was in everything, and it was waiting for her to bring it all together. As Suzie looked at the gathered items, her eyes sparkled with wonder. She could already see it in her mind. The perfect fort, the place where every nap would be magical. The pieces were all there, waiting for the next step. And Suzie knew, deep in her heart, that she was on the verge of something extraordinary. The best bedtime fort ever was within her reach, and nothing could stop her now. The sun was beginning to set, casting a soft orange glow across the sky, as Suzie stood in front of her bedroom door, her heart pounding with excitement. Everything was ready. The pieces had come together. The dew, the blackberries, the orange, leaves, the radio. And now it was time to reveal her creation to her friends. Suzie's fingers trembled slightly as she gripped the door handle, but her smile was wide and eager. This was it, the moment she had been waiting for. Her friends were gathered around her in the hallway, their faces filled with curiosity. Polly, Poppy, and Pete exchanged excited glances, but none of them could quite understand what Suzie had been up to all afternoon. They had seen her collect all sorts of odd items, but what was she doing with them? They were about to find out. "Are you ready for the best bedtime fort ever?" Suzie asked, her voice filled with anticipation. She couldn't help but bounce, on the balls of her feet. Polly raised an eyebrow, clearly intrigued. Poppy grinned, her eyes wide, while Pete was a bit more skeptical, but the excitement in the air was contagious. "Of course we are," Poppy said eagerly. "But this is your room, right? We've been in here 1,000,000 times before." Suzie just grinned mischievously. "Not like this. Trust me." With a flourish, she threw open the door, and the room beyond wasn't what any of them expected. What had once been her ordinary, slightly messy bedroom was now transformed into a magical wonderland. The walls were no longer just painted in pale blue. Instead, they were lined with towering pine trees, their trunks stretching up to the ceiling. The floor had disappeared beneath the soft, moss-like carpet, and in its place, the room seemed to have melted into an enchanted forest. The ceiling was no longer her familiar white. Instead, it was a canopy of soft white sheets that hung down, like a gentle cloud, casting a warm golden light throughout the room. The sheets swayed slightly in an invisible breeze, glowing as if kissed by sunlight. The soft light gave the entire room an ethereal feel, as though they had stepped into a dream. And the lights. Thousands of tiny firefly-like lights dotted the room, their soft glow flickering like stars caught in a slow dance. The lights blinked and twinkled as if alive, casting delicate shadows across the forest floor. It wasn't just lighting, it was magic, alive in every corner, filling the room with warmth and wonder. Suzie led her friends into the room, her eyes gleaming with pride as she watched their reactions. Polly gasped, her eyes wide in disbelief. This is amazing," she whispered, stepping cautiously into the room, as though afraid it might vanish if she moved too quickly. Poppy stood frozen in awe, her mouth hanging open. "I can't believe this. Suzie, how did you do this?" Pete, the most skeptical of the group, blinked several times, his gaze moving from one magical detail to the next. His usual bravado was gone, replaced with pure wonder. I didn't even know something like this was possible, he murmured, stepping further into the room. His eyes widened as he looked around. It's like we're in a completely different world. Susie's grin widened. I told you it would be amazing. Welcome to my magical forest. The transformation was so complete that it was impossible to believe this had once been a simple room. The forest feel was everywhere, from the gentle hum of the air to the way the floor seemed to have soft, cushioned moss growing beneath their feet. The trees, made of soft white sheets, gently curved in all directions, creating a forest canopy that gave the room a sense of comfort and security. Come on, Suzie said, her voice full of excitement. Let me show you the nap zones. She led them across the room, through the trees, and to the first set of curtains that were drawn back to reveal a cozy little nook. The soft lilac cushions filled the space, creating a bed of comfort. This is Polly's nap spot, Suzie explained. It's soundproof, so you'll never hear a thing in here. Polly stepped inside and immediately sank into the cushions. A content sigh escaped her lips as she lay down, her body relaxing completely. It's perfect, she murmured, eyes closing. Next, Suzie led them to another corner of the room, where darkness enveloped the space. And this is Poppy's nap spot, Suzie said, drawing the curtains back. Poppy's eyes sparkled as she stepped inside. The soft, warm darkness surrounded her like a blanket, while the gentle sounds of a distant ocean and birdsong filled the air. She smiled, lying down on the soft surface. It's like walking on clouds, she exclaimed. Finally, Suzie guided Pete to his nap space. And this, she said, her voice almost a whisper, is your jungle retreat. The area was bathed in a warm golden light, as though the sun never quite set in this corner. A soft tree trunk grew from the floor, its canopy spreading out to create a comfortable bed of leaves. Pete's jaw dropped as he climbed the small ladder into the canopy, settling into the soft leaves. It's like my own tree house, he laughed, clearly amazed. As Suzie stepped back, she took a moment to admire the beauty of the room and the happiness of her friends. She had done it. She had created something magical, something that would bring peace and joy to everyone who entered. It was a world of comfort, of magic, of hope, and of love. A perfect place to rest, to dream, and to escape. The room wasn't just a fort. It was a reflection of everything Suzie believed in: comfort, imagination, and the magic of dreams. And, as her friends settled into their spaces, Suzie knew that this was just the beginning. This was the place where dreams would come true, and nothing would ever be the same again. Suzie stood back and watched as each of her friends settled into their nap spaces, a sense of pride swelling in her chest. She had worked so hard, pouring her heart and imagination into each little corner of the room, and now it was time to see if her efforts had truly paid off. First, she turned her attention to Polly, who had already made herself comfortable in the lilac-walled, soundproof space Suzie had created for her. The moment Polly stepped into the room, a wave of serenity seemed to wash over her. The walls were lined with soft lilac cushions that formed a cozy bed, and the air was thick with stillness. Polly's favorite thing in the world was silence. Nothing, more than the quiet hum of her own thoughts. The room had been designed with every detail in mind to ensure that no sound would disturb Polly's peace. The thick, plush cushions muffled the world outside, leaving the space quiet and calm. Even the floor, covered in soft rugs, absorbed the faintest of footsteps. Polly closed her eyes as soon as she sat down, her body sinking into the pillows, and she let out a contented sigh. The air felt cool against her skin, and the subtle scent of lavender, something Suzie had carefully placed in the corners of the room, filled the air, adding to the tranquility. It was a perfect sanctuary for Polly, where nothing could intrude on her peaceful nap. "I can't hear anything," Polly whispered in awe, her eyes half-lidded with relaxation. "This is perfect, Suzie. It's just what I needed." Suzie smiled as she turned her attention to Poppy. Poppy's space was a complete contrast. A world of peaceful, soft darkness. Suzie had created a nap environment that mimicked the night sky, drawing on Poppy's love for the stillness of the night and her need for total darkness to sleep soundly. The moment Poppy entered, she was engulfed by the deep, velvety blackness of her room. The air was thick with calm, as if the world outside had melted away completely. The floor was covered in dark cushions that felt almost like walking on clouds, soft and airy underfoot. Poppy's room had no windows, only the softest of shadows. A faint sound, like the distant crashing of waves against the shore and the gentle call of night birds, played in the background, creating a gentle lullaby of nature. The quiet hum of the sound brought a feeling of warmth and familiarity, lulling Poppy into a sense of total comfort. Her nap space was designed to cocoon her in peace, giving her the perfect environment to drift away without a trace of light or sound to disrupt her. As Poppy lowered herself into the cushions, she let out a soft giggle of joy, already beginning to relax. "This feels like I'm floating in space," she murmured, smiling as she let herself be enveloped by the warmth of the darkness. "It's perfect, Suzie. I could nap here for hours." Suzie's eyes sparkled with happiness as she turned to Pete, who was already examining his own space, a jungle-inspired nap corner filled with warmth and the scent of fresh earth. Pete had always loved the outdoors, and his fear of the dark had often made him uneasy during sleepovers. So Suzie had created a space that would make him feel safe while still catering to his love of nature. Pete stepped into the room and instantly felt the warmth of the golden light that bathed the space, like the soft rays of a setting sun. The air was humid, as if he had stepped into a small tropical rainforest, and the gentle rustle of leaves could be heard as he moved deeper into his jungle retreat. The walls were covered in faux vines and soft climbing plants that added to the authenticity of the forest. A sturdy tree trunk stood at the center of the space, its bark rough and real to the touch. There was even a small ladder leading up to a bed made of soft, moss-like leaves, just like the canopy of a treehouse. As Pete climbed the ladder and settled down onto the soft bed, the warm golden light above him shifted, creating a sense of gentle sunset, casting long shadows and adding a sense of peaceful solitude. He could hear the faint sound of a jungle stream trickling nearby, and the soft songs of hidden birds in the distance. The light from the nightlight, which flickered softly on the other side of the room, cast a reassuring glow, making Pete feel at ease and safe. "This is like my own little rainforest," Pete said in awe, his voice full of wonder. "I feel like I could stay here forever." Suzie's heart swelled with happiness as she watched her friends settle in. Each nap space was completely unique, carefully crafted to fit their individual needs. She had thought about each friend's preferences and created a magical space that would give them the peace they needed to relax and rest. Suzie was amazed at how the room had come together. It wasn't just a physical space. It was a reflection of who her friends were, a physical manifestation of their personalities and desires. She walked back to the center of the room, her eyes moving from one magical space to the next. The way the forest canopy swayed above her, the twinkling lights in the corners, the soft glow of the nightlight, it all seemed to breathe with a life of its own. Suzie had created something incredible, something beyond just a nap space. It was a world of comfort, a dream made real, where each of her friends could feel completely themselves. As her friends began to settle into their naps, Suzie felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She had done it. She had created something truly magical, something that would stay with her and her friends forever. And as she closed her eyes, ready to drift into her own peaceful nap, she couldn't help but feel a deep, unshakable certainty that this magical world would always be here when she needed it most. As the room grew quiet, a gentle stillness filled the air, and Susie couldn't help but watch her friends with a deep sense of contentment. She had done it. Each of them was tucked away in their perfect nap space, and now, the magic of sleep was about to take over. Polly was the first to fully relax into her soundproof lilac room. The silence around her was absolute, wrapping her in a cocoon of peace. She had settled into the soft cushions, her body sinking deeply into the plush softness. The air around her felt cool and still, like the quiet of a sleepy evening, and the delicate scent of lavender seemed to lull her into an even deeper state of relaxation. With each breath, Polly's eyelids fluttered gently, then closed as she drifted further into her nap. The world outside, the noises of the day, were long forgotten now. In this space, there was only peace. A small smile played at the corners of Polly's lips, the serenity in the room matching the tranquility in her mind. Susie watched as Polly's chest rose and fell gently, the soft rhythm of her breathing a reminder of the calm that filled the room. Susie felt a sense of pride, knowing that Polly had found the quiet she craved, the safe haven of perfect stillness, where nothing could disturb her sleep. The magic of the space had worked. Polly was finally at peace, completely absorbed in her nap. Next, Poppy settled into the darkness of her serene, quiet world. The deep shadows wrapped around her like a soft blanket, and the faint sounds of the ocean filled the air, creating a soothing lullaby that seemed to wash away the world. The gentle sway of the cloud cushions beneath her added to the sensation of weightlessness, like floating in a dream. Poppy's body relaxed, her limbs growing heavy as the darkness cocooned her, and she let out a soft sigh of contentment. The warmth of the room seemed to melt away all tension in Poppy's body. As she lay there, her mind quieted, the gentle hum of sound surrounding her like a lullaby from a distant place. She felt safe, like nothing could touch her here. The blackness was comforting, softening every sharp edge of her thoughts. Slowly, her breathing deepened, her body going limp with relaxation. And in moments, she was fully asleep, a peaceful expression on her face. Susie watched from a distance, her heart swelling with happiness. Poppy was home, in her own magical space where nothing could disturb her rest. Finally, Pete climbed up into his treehouse-like bed in the jungle-inspired nook. The warm golden light wrapped around him like the setting sun, making him feel safe and secure. The gentle sounds of nature, birds softly chirping in the distance, the trickling of a nearby stream, flooded his senses, making him feel as though he were truly nestled in the heart of a rainforest. The light from the nightlight flickered softly beside him, casting a warm glow that kept the shadows at bay. As Pete snuggled deeper into the soft, moss-like bed, he let out a contented sigh, his fears melting away with each breath. The warm air, thick with the scent of nature, settled around him. He could almost feel the gentle rustling of leaves above him, like a soft, comforting embrace. As his eyes fluttered closed, Pete's body sank deeper into the leaves, his muscles relaxing. The worries he had carried with him were gone now, replaced by a feeling of deep safety and peace. Slowly, Pete drifted into a peaceful slumber, his face relaxed and free from the tension that usually clouded his thoughts. Susie stood still in the center of the room, watching all of her friends as they lay in their perfect spaces. The quiet of the room was almost sacred, the magic of the nap spaces weaving around them like a soft, invisible thread. Every breath that filled the air felt like a promise of peace, each heartbeat a gentle reminder of the tranquility that surrounded them. Susie could feel the magic that had created this world, and in that moment, she realized that it wasn't just the fort, the pillows, or the blankets. It was the care, the love, and the belief she had poured into each space that had made it so magical. She had created this for them, and now they were resting, their minds and bodies completely at ease. Susie moved quietly to her own space, her heart full. She settled down onto her soft beanbag, the warmth and gentle light surrounding her as she too prepared to drift into sleep. She felt a deep sense of satisfaction, watching her friends rest, peacefully. This world was not just about naps, it was about something deeper. It was about creating a place of peace, a place where each person felt truly safe, where magic existed because it was believed in. As Suzie closed her eyes, the soft hum of the room, the warmth of the light, and the gentle music of the ukulele, played by Coco in the distance, filled her senses. The magic was real, and so was the peace that filled the space around them. It was a place where dreams could take root, and where the power of sleep could heal, comfort, and transform. And as the last whispers of daylight faded from the room, the four friends slept soundly, their hearts light, and their minds at rest. The magical world Suzie had created was alive, not just in their dreams, but in the quiet beauty of the moment. As the night deepened, a soft, peaceful silence enveloped the room. Suzie lay nestled in her own nap space, her mind calm and her heart full of contentment. The gentle hum of the magical world she had created filled the air, but something stirred, deep inside her. A quiet realization, as though the very essence of what had happened was now clear. The world she had built wasn't just made of blankets and pillows. It wasn't just a place where her friends could nap in peace. No, it was something far more profound. The truth was, the magic of the bedtime fort wasn't just a result of the magical items Coco had whispered about. It wasn't simply about the perfect arrangement of pillows or the glow of the firefly lights that now twinkled softly above them. No, the secret of this place, the true magic, lay in something deeper, something more personal. It was the combination of engineering, magic, and hope, as Coco had explained to Suzie. Engineering, Suzie now understood, was about creating a strong foundation. It was about structure, about bringing together all the little elements that worked in harmony to create something that lasted. Suzie had carefully designed each nap space, making sure that each friend's unique needs were met. Polly's need for silence, Poppy's desire for peaceful noise, and Pete's need for warmth and light. All of it had been carefully engineered, piece by piece. She had thought through every detail, made sure the foundations were solid, and created a space that was both functional and beautiful. But engineering alone wouldn't have been enough. There was another element that made this place truly magical. Magic itself. The magic wasn't something Suzie had conjured out of thin air. It was the magic of imagination, of belief, of seeing the potential in the simplest of things and turning them into something extraordinary. Coco had helped her see that magic doesn't come from spells or incantations. It comes from the heart, from the ability to dream, to believe in the impossible, and to bring that belief to life. Suzie had believed in the possibility of creating the perfect nap space. She had believed that, through her creativity, she could make a world that felt safe and magical, a world where her friends could truly rest. It was that belief, that willingness to dream big and act on those dreams, that had brought the magic into being. Every corner of the room, every soft cushion and glowing light, was a testament to the power of imagination. The magic was in her heart, and in the hearts of her friends as they embraced this world together. And finally, Opiantidam, the most important ingredient of all. Hope was what tied everything together, what gave Suzie the strength to keep going when she wasn't sure if it was possible to create a space that would satisfy everyone. Hope was what had pushed her to keep searching for the right combination of elements, to experiment with new ideas and create something better. Hope was the force that had made the dream a reality, and Suzie had felt it coursing through her every step of the way. The hope that she could make something special for her friends. The hope that, despite the challenge, she could create a world where they could rest and feel at peace. It was hope that filled the room with a kind of quiet joy, a hope that made everything feel right. As Suzie lay there, the room glowing softly around her, she realized that the true magic of the bedtime fort wasn't in the external details, the firefly lights, the soft cushions, or the beautiful sheets. It was in the love, the creativity, and the care she had put into creating this space for her friends. The room wasn't magical because of what it looked like, but because of how it made them feel. It was a space born from her heart, a place built on her belief in her friends and in herself. The world Suzie had created was one of imagination and possibility, and as she lay there watching her friends sleep, she felt a deep, quiet satisfaction. She had made something extraordinary, something that would live on in her heart forever. And in that moment, she realized that the magic of the fort wasn't limited to this space. It could be carried out into the world, wherever imagination and belief took her. Suzie smiled softly to herself as the firefly lights flickered above her, casting a warm glow across the room. She knew that this world wasn't just a dream. It was a testament to the power of creativity, love, and hope. And as she drifted off to sleep, she felt an overwhelming sense of peace. It was a reminder to her, and to all of us, that we can create magic in our own lives, no matter how small the spark may seem. All it takes is a bit of imagination, a dose of belief, and a whole lot of hope. So the next time you close your eyes and dream, remember, magic is within your reach. All you have to do is believe. As the soft glow of the firefly lights flickered gently around the room, the world of Suzie's magical bedtime fort seemed to settle into a deep, peaceful silence. Each of her friends rested in their perfect nap spaces, enveloped in the quiet comfort of their own dreams. And in that stillness, a sense of calm and serenity filled the air, reminding us all of the power of rest, relaxation, and the peaceful respite sleep brings. Sleep is not just a pause from the day. It is a time for our minds to refresh, for our bodies to heal, and for our imaginations to roam freely. Just as Suzie created a world where her friends could rest peacefully, we too can create spaces of calm within ourselves. Spaces where dreams can take flight, and where worries can be left behind. Remember, the world of imagination is always within reach. It's a place where anything is possible, where magic lives in the smallest of moments, and where peace can be found whenever we need it. Much like Suzie's magical fort, our dreams are the gateway to something extraordinary, a realm where comfort and tranquility are just a thought away. So whenever you need a moment of calm, when the world feels overwhelming, or when you simply need to rest your mind, return to this peaceful place. Let the magic of imagination take you to a space where peace and relaxation are yours to keep. And as you close your eyes tonight, remember, rest is a gift. Dream freely, dream deeply, and when you wake, carry the peace of this moment with you. Good night, little one. Sleep tight, and may your dreams be as magical as Suzie's fort.